It began with a whisper in the highlands of Tibet. Not a voice, not a wind, but a kind of pull, like a thought that wasn't yours, echoing inside your bones. Miles from the nearest road, tucked into the jagged cradle of the Himalayas, stood Drolma Monastery, older than maps, older than memory. Here, in a crumbling vault beneath the prayer wheels and incense smoke, a monk named Tenzin uncovered something that should not exist, a map that moved. It was found buried beneath the stone floor of the monastery's oldest chamber, behind a wall painted with celestial dragons. The scroll was wrapped in yak leather, sealed with wax blackened by age. When Tenzin unrolled it, the parchment trembled. He blinked, and the lines shimmered. He turned away to call the abbot, and when he looked back, the map had changed. The lines were ancient, drawn in a style no one could date. Symbols glowed faintly, not with ink, but with something that pulsed like thought. It showed the monastery, but also a ridge that had long since collapsed in an avalanche. Then it showed a lake that hadn't been seen in generations. When the abbot arrived, the lake was gone. In its place, a path, a new one, leading toward the forbidden pass. The abbot declared it sacred, or cursed. He ordered the vault sealed and the map forgotten, but the map refused. That night, Tenzin dreamed of a mountain rimmed in firelight, and at its peak, a doorway. He awoke chanting words he didn't know, and when he returned to the vault in secret, the map had redrawn itself. Again. This time it bore a single phrase written in ancient Sanskrit. The light waits behind the summit. News traveled, as it always does. Decades later, a British researcher named Evelyn Shaw arrived, chasing rumors. She specialized in ancient cartography and had once published a dissertation on self-altering geographical documents in myth and oral tradition. Her work was mostly ignored by academics, but not by collectors. A reclusive benefactor, a man she only knew as Varian, had funded her journey. All he asked was that she find the map and bring it back.
Evelyn, skeptical but desperate, arrived at Drolma Monastery during the monsoon season. The monks, aged and cautious, denied the map existed, but Evelyn knew how to look. On her third night, during a thunderstorm that rattled the prayer wheels, she found the hidden vault beneath the east chamber. The map was still there, still breathing, still moving. At first, she thought it was a trick of candlelight. Then she set up a camera, one frame every minute. By morning, the lines had shifted, not erased, rewritten. The lake was back, the ridge whole, and a new path, winding around an unnamed peak, ended in a glowing symbol, a kind of doorway. When she traced it with her finger, the candle flickered out. That night, Evelyn dreamed of the summit. She was not alone. She saw a figure robed in white, standing at the threshold of a luminous gate, and behind it, a sea of stars. When she awoke, her hands were dusted with ash. The monks grew fearful. One whispered that the map was not made by human hands. Another said it was the work of the Shining Ones, beings who dwelled in the spaces between breath and silence. Evelyn didn't believe in angels, but she believed in obsession. The map changed each night, but always led to the same peak, one the monks called Nyenpo Kang. The locals avoided it. They said no birds flew near it, that even snow avoided its ridges. Evelyn marked the route. She left with a Sherpa guide named Dorje, who had once seen his brother vanish on that mountain. He didn't believe in curses, only in places the world had not earned. They climbed for 4 days. The higher they went, the more strange things became. The wind didn't howl. It whispered. They found footprints in snow that wasn't theirs. Dorje saw lights on the ridge that danced like fire, but cast no heat. Evelyn dreamed of the summit again. This time she stood at the gate, and the robed figure turned to her and said, "The map is not to find the way, it is to remember it." On the 5th day, they reached the summit. There was no gate, only stone, and a circle carved into the ice. Evelyn stepped into it. The moment she did, her vision blurred. She staggered, fell, and opened her eyes to a sky she didn't recognize. The stars were wrong, the air too still. Dorje was gone. A voice spoke without sound. "You were called because you remembered." The map unfurled before her, floating in the air, its lines now pulsing like veins. She saw every place she had ever feared, every secret she had hidden, every step she had taken away from truth. And then she saw the path again. This time it led inward. She awoke days later in the monastery. Alone. The monk said she had been found outside the vault, unconscious, the scroll clutched in her hands. But it no longer changed. The lines were still, dead. Evelyn returned to England. She never spoke of what she saw. But her final book, published privately, was titled The Gate Behind the Summit, a memoir of maps and memory. Only a few copies were printed. Fewer still remain. But those who read it report the same thing. The book changes. The maps redraw. And sometimes, after reading, they dream of the light beyond the mountain. They say the map draws itself, but only for those who are ready to remember. And the path it reveals, it never leads where you expect. It leads where you were always meant to go. They say the map doesn't guide the curious, only the haunted, only the ones who have forgotten what they were meant to become. Evelyn no longer searched for destinations. She understood now. The map was never about places. It was about remembering. And the summit? It never stayed in one place. Because some paths don't appear on paper. Some maps are drawn in silence. And some gates only open when your soul stops asking where and starts asking why. Subscribe to Dark Whispers to explore more forbidden mysteries, ancient riddles, and otherworldly truths. Lost histories that rewrite what we know, places the world refuses to explain, legends that breathe behind the veil of time. Because some maps aren't ink on parchment, they're written in you. And some doors don't open when you arrive, they open when you remember who you are.